What did you think it was in there? Applesauce?
In his solo jail cell interview with Sirhan Sirhan, prosecution psychiatrist Dr. Seymour Pollack seems genuinely disturbed by Sirhan's lack of memory. But, as we shall hear, that fact doesn't prevent him from coaching the prisoner on what his motive might have been. Sirhan, however, remains confused. "Maybe I am crazy," he says. "I don't know what to tell you. I just can't explain it." Pollack then reminds him that other people were wounded, and Sirhan, hardly sounding like a murdering fanatic, responds, "What did they do to me that they had to be hurt?"
That's the picture I've gotten from you, the feelings about you, this intense Arab nationalist who feels the American political figures letting the Arab world down. In other words, your trial is a trial in which you are sort of accusing America of burying a million Arabs. In fact, if I assume then that this is so, that you really want the world to see the Arabs suffering and to see that American policy has helped that suffering, why, I say, don't you remember all of this? Why don't you remember clearly?
Maybe I am. Maybe I am. Maybe I don't know it. And I'm not trying to tell you it was Louis, but really, I can't explain it.
You know, a number of other people were shot too, were wounded, you know that, don't you?
What did they do to me that they had to be hurt?
I think that you had this pretty blind rage, anger, resentment. I mean, to you, at that time, Kennedy was really the biggest bastard in the world. He was the biggest son of a bitch.
Pollack here seems not to understand that he has asked a key question. If Sirhan murdered Robert Kennedy to make a political gesture on behalf of the dispossessed Palestinian Arabs, why doesn't he remember? And why such remorse? "My own conscience doesn't agree with what I did," Sirhan says sadly. "In what way?" Pollack asks, taken aback. "It's against my upbringing," says Sirhan. "My childhood, family, church, prayers, the Bible and all this, sir." Sirhan, as many people don't know, was a Christian. Now returning to the quote. "And here I go and splatter this guy's brains. It's just not me. It's just not me."
My own conscience doesn't agree with me with what I did.
Your own conscience?
My own conscience doesn't agree.
In what way?
It's against my upbringing, my very nature, sir. My childhood, you know, was family, the church, the prayers, the Bible, all that. Thou shalt not kill. And here I go and splatter this guy's brains. It's just not me.
If we accept for the moment the possibility that Sirhan Sirhan was a remote control assassin, the question then arises as to who could have programmed him. Suspicion has fallen in recent years on a small group of West Coast doctors who were active in secret CIA mind control experiments. The most flamboyant of these was the late Dr. William Bryan. Again, Dr. Philip Melanson.
William Bryan was, by his own admission, one of the primary researchers for the government in brainwashing, in hypnoprogramming, and in a variety of things. He was an out-of-control, super hypno character who exploited women through his hypnosis practice and was temporarily disbarred as a result. He bragged about his work for the government, said he was the czar of brainwashing, and he was also involved with the man I call Reasoner and with another man, all of whom worked together in Southern and Northern California, all of whom worked for the government, and my belief is that two of them, if not three of them, had something to do with Sirhan's programming.
William Bryan was a rather large man weighing 386 pounds. He has been variously referred to as the most brilliant man in the field of hypnotism and as a, quote, misguided genius. His private practice involved sex therapy, and by his own admission, he frequently had sex with his female patients. Did William Bryan believe that a subject could be programmed to perform acts that were out of character? Let's listen.
You have to have the person locked up physically, and there is also the use of long-term hypnotic suggestion, probably drugs, whatever, and so on. Under these situations where you have all this going for you, yes, you can brainwash a person to do just about anything.
Did William Bryan have anything at all to do with Robert Kennedy's accused killer? Well, in the year before his death in 1976, Bryan reportedly bragged to two prostitutes who serviced him regularly that he had, in fact, hypnotized Sirhan. Bryan also liked to brag about his most crowning achievement, the deprogramming of Albert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler. In Sirhan's notebook, that strange document with page after page of almost indecipherable trance-induced scribbling, there appears the entry, "God help me, please help me. Salvo, di DeSalvo, die salvo." It's a curious notation to be sure, but is it possible that while working upon Sirhan, the programmer couldn't help talking about his favorite subject? And that this entry, by way of the captured mind of Sirhan, is really the palm print of Dr. William Bryan? If we take Sirhan's words, "It's just not me," at face value, then who was it? What bad dream befell this young man?
My handwriting, they are my thoughts, but I don't remember them. They are the writings of a maniac. They're not the writings of me now.
In the spring of 1992, a petition was brought before the Los Angeles County Grand Jury requesting the appointment of a special prosecutor to investigate the Los Angeles Police Department for willful and corrupt misconduct in its investigation of the murder of Robert Kennedy. This request was signed by over 50 notables, including Arthur Schlesinger Jr., Frank Mankiewicz, Norman Mailer, Sam Dash, Cesar Chavez, and Oliver Stone. It was accompanied by 800 pages of exhibits documenting the LAPD's destruction of evidence, falsification of evidence, and coercion of witnesses. Whether this request will ever be adequately acted upon is uncertain. It is, though, a near certainty that those who conspire to murder Robert Kennedy will never be apprehended or brought to justice. On the other hand, historians a century from now will not have to examine these events through the filter of political expedience. They will see a conspiratorial mosaic, incomplete but unmistakable.
I think it's possible to brainwash, manipulate, coerce people to do just about anything. And we see this demonstrated in military training or in the kind of conditioning that people go through when they get involved in cults. And they do things that are certainly way outside of the normal parameters of what they would consider moral.
Nowhere was this more evident than in the small South American country of Guyana in the winter of 1978. The place was called Jonestown. On the surface, it appeared to be a gathering of ethnically diverse families assembled by the Reverend Jim Jones to live their dream of a racially harmonious society.
This reporter spoke to many Jonestown people. They all insisted that it was a peaceful and productive place in which to live.
Are you happy here?
Oh, I should say I am. I've never been any happier in my life.
Despite the outward appearance of normality, reports of sexual abuse, torture, and members being held against their will filtered back to the United States. San Francisco Congressman Leo Ryan flew to Guyana to investigate the allegations.
I'm very glad to be here. This is a congressional inquiry, and I think that all of you know that I'm here to find out more about questions that have been raised about your operation here. But I can tell you right now that from the few conversations I've had with some of the folks here already this evening, that whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened in their whole life.
The events of the following day would shock the world.
Love is the only weapon. Shit! Bullshit! Martin Luther King died with love. Kennedy died talking about something something you couldn't even understand, some kind of generalized love, and he never even backed it up. He shut down. Bullshit. Love is the only weapon with which I got to fight. I got a hell of a lot of weapons to fight. I got my claws, I got compasses, I got guns, I got dynamite, I got a hell of a lot to fight. I'll fight, I'll fight, I'll